It's the difference between you getting to fly in the galaxy or not. We're looking at fast species evolution. Every person in your universe's life is going to be in your balance. Hey YouTube, it's Jesse again. Okay, so I just wanted to cover a few things here. Coursework, as far as reading material goes for this class, is actually going to be really straightforward. And again, I mentioned it before, this book here, Mastering Astral Projection. It's a 90-day guide. It's, again, you can find it on Amazon or any other place. The second book is also really important just because it kind of gives a general overview of different types of materials that you're going to be creating with and balancing with throughout this series. So again, this is a great reference book called The Book of Stones. Again, you can pick it up on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever your reading outlet is. So I'm going to cover a couple different things I have written down here as far as notes for the class goes. So I need to talk about, and again, the moment I post those videos, I get transmissions on things to update listeners with so that they have accurate information and things that they can create with as well. So a lot of this class is going to be how much work you put into it, specifically with the astral projection exercises themselves, because being able to functionally develop your psychic energy body, chakra body, is really the only way for success to be achievable, and it's going to be equivalent to a grade system. You could really look at this as a Harvard class because it's not going to show up on the directory and you're not going to have a classroom for it. However, it's a position that is absolutely necessary for sustainability on the planet Earth. So I'll give a little bit more of an overview for it. What really inspired me to start creating this lecture series specifically was when you looked farther, or when I personally looked farther into leadership strategies for time travel, and specifically time travel leadership, I didn't find anything whatsoever. And that was really concerning because what became very apparent to me is that that's an active process, and if we don't cover a leadership strategy for it, we're out there and we have nothing to grab onto or really consciously comprehend as individual leaders. So this has a lot to do with time travel leadership itself, and it also has a lot to do with energy leadership, mediumship, and management, because that's essentially what you're going to be able to do. So if you can, whatever position you're in, and you're up for the challenge, because this is a dedicated position, it's the difference between you getting to fly in the galaxy or not, and your entire planet goes along with you. So it's essentially a great opportunity if you look at it like, look, this is my life form, this is my existence, and I have a potential with it. The potential is given that much of a range. You can live on Earth your entire life, and that can be your experience, and the rest of the planet will follow you. If you decide to really dive into the energy functions and how they're going to create themselves, you open up the opportunity to do the galaxy travel. So it's a really, really big opportunity for everyone, but it comes down to you specifically as a leader to be able to develop these consciousnesses, modalities, and ways that you can actively evolve your species, because that's really what we're here to do. We're looking at fast species evolution. So you can dive into philosophy, you could dive into history, even the divinity school focuses on religious aspects of it, and you can do all those things, but you'll spend your entire time on the planet doing them. If you're ready to incorporate some of your already wonderful leadership skills, as I'm sure you have them, and apply them in a way that's really going to be beneficial to everyone, this is that course for you. So that's just a bit of my heart speaking out, saying I believe in you, I trust in you, and if this is the video you come across, or this is the purpose you've felt you've had in life, then absolutely pursue it, and do not stop pursuing it, because it's every person in your universe's life is going to be in your balance. So let's really visualize that. What we're encapsulating, you are the 7 leader position is the global leader position, and you have to step off of all of your belief systems about how business functions locally, how governance functions locally, and really step out into this is the governing planetary system that operates my localized Earth or whatever planet you're on, and that's how you're going to manage it. Astral projection, I think it actually starts off a little, it's cute, because it talks about out of body experiences and projecting yourself. That's the foundation of it. When you start building and look at it like bodybuilding, again, I'm going to go to that, or even your education, first year, second year, third year, okay, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and then it's your passion, so you really start going at it, and that's what you're building. It's psychic body muscles, and they're really efficient, really powerful. So the responsibility is your entire life. So put your everything you have into it, because this is what gets you to the galaxy safely and efficiently in one lifetime. This is essentially the accumulation of Harvard knowledge that you could grasp on a planet Earth, going from Veritas, daughter of Saturn, with your red and black shield, and really visualize what that is. I showed it in another video. It's a grounding system. Every system's going to function on that purpose. The leadership positions will be in your purple realm. So it's NYU, University of Washington, all sorts of colleges are balancing specific energy systems with the 7 leadership position. That doesn't necessarily apply to the whole planet as a whole, because they might be focused on their specific avenue or business directive. It's generally going to be taught through money, so the enticing portion of it's there to keep you stationary. That's not what I'm here to do. It's really here to uproot you. So again, let's talk about the astral projection. You make it it's 90 days, but you get through it pretty quickly, and I like to read ahead because I'm just a fast reader and I love to do the exercise, so I was like, hey, let's do this. And it shows you, initially it's going to be strengthening muscle parts. So you're going to do visualizations where you're essentially breaking out of the portions of your physical skin with your mental energy to create another layer, your astral body. So it opens up, and again, these 2 books operate in synergy together because they're really powerful tools. Opens up the astral realm, and you could look through all of history, and I highly recommend it because it talks a lot about this, the astral realm itself. So you've created a projection body that you can walk around with, live with. Like even now, just conceptualize, I have an astral body that I'm using with my brain that interacts on a second plane. Look at it like lenses. You've got your left eye, your right eye, and you've got your third eye. It opens up a brand new layer that you're going to interact with. So the astral realm has a lot of different modalities to it, and the one thing that it does actually lack a lot of, like many parts of leadership you'll recognize, is a direct leader, someone who's going to manage the energy, operate it, interact with it, and try to evolve it so that it's sustainable, so that it's productive, so that it has value. So really, I want you to focus and conceptualize now what high-end leaders have done through history is dabble with this realm. It's a highly productive realm, but it introduces all the parts of your psychic centers that could interact with universes that are not going to be visible necessarily traditionally through the 2-eye system here on Earth. So let's conceptualize that for large global leadership. They were provided with parts of these knowledge, and they were able to maintain, sustain, and guide in some aspects an astral realm, a realm that is very universal to a lot of different entities and creatures. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about, I covered energies, I believe, in a previous video. Psychic energies, chakra energies, lightning energies. You can do telekinesis and levitation, and evolution of it functions with the psionic brain system. So one that we really need to be cautious about. So I'm going to talk about it now because it's another energy you'll find when you start dabbling around in astral energies. And it has specifically to do with the heart chakra, 4D. That's the Anahata. And this is a really powerful energy system and it's called force energy. And I'm sure there's lots of history about it. I'm not going to talk about it though, because it's really not an avenue that was designed in society for any productive value whatsoever beyond its gravitational state. So that's a word of caution. If you're thinking of force energy like you've heard about it, just forget it. You don't want to be around it. It does exist though, and it has specifically to do with the heart. So when you start managing this specific type of energy, it uses anahata energy a lot. So when we're talking about planet 7, purple G, the Sahasrara chakra itself, that has a perpendicular spin through the core part of the body, the anahata is located right below the throat chakra, and that one interacts directly with green. Green, everything that's kept us alive on the planet Earth as far as oxygen goes. Think about it, the trees, that part is fundamentally built into what we are as a species and as entities, human bodies. Everything that we can consciously perceive has thrived from life being that. So it interacts directly with green foods. So if you're going to build that kind of energy, you go for the green vegetables. You eat lots of green vegetables, you eat them daily. You're going to build strong force energy, force muscles, and when you combine them with the psionic brain system's light projection system, I talked a little bit before about it, where you can take light psychic energy, condense it into higher density energy. That's really what force energy is, and it's visualized and observed that way. When you start condensing it, it gets a really loud hum to it, and it gets really touchy and really starts to interact with the physics that you're moving around in. So if you're using a lot of force energy, it's going to be moving a lot of, well, and you kind of can piece together, it's anahata energy. It can come in different colors too, so you can mix it. Say if you want to move specific chakra energies, you can go through the entire rainbow. And strengthening those parts of the psychic light computers themselves in the brain is a great exercise process, but again, it's a word of caution. Don't look at it like it's been presented to you through media. And that's going to be a great segue into a second portion here that I really need to address as far as leadership positions go. If you manage to click on this video and you are from Harvard or Stanford or any of the Ivy League schools and we're really questioning your business degree at this moment and curious why you spent so much time on it if you were just going to stay on the planet, we need to talk about visualizations themselves. So in gravitational fields, we need to build this concept that specific visualizations themselves, if we calculated it and categorized it, contain higher gravitational positions than other visualizations themselves. So for example, and you'll get really confident with this. This is not a class to be embarrassed by. It's one to be really focused on your determination for success for the whole planetary species. You're the evolver, okay? So you're the one who's on the other side being the leader for evolution. That's an important, really important part to perceive, is reproduction. So if we say that the fastest, a really small, low gravity visualization is going to be human reproduction, a really high gravitational system that essentially is just going to ground out all the energy chakras themselves is going to be, well, you can kind of infer it's going to be a non-vegetarian vision of food consumption. So we think of every single meal you're eating is a visualization of the food that you're consuming. So that plays a role 365 days a year. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, dinner. If you're doing a 24-hour cycle and you spent maybe, an hour eating or 20 minutes eating or however long, that's a visualization cycle, and that's added into a gravitational component. So if it's bright, healthy vegetables and you can visualize your chakras energizing as you're eating your food, that's a low gravitational system that's going to energize chakras. Again, if it's a non-vegetarian system, guess what? It's super gravitational, and energetically, it has a real effect on your leadership potential in a really, there's other positive ways, okay? So let's really look at visualization that way. When I stepped into it, and this is a really hard one, you have to, well, bring your full Harvard self. So it's about self-management, observation. What you visualize is what you are visualizing as a leader. So for me, that essentially was end game. You can't play games. You can't physically play a game if you yourself are responsible for an entire human population. Because any moment that you are letting that be anything other than equality is costing you physical life in your planet. That has to be part of your decision making. So if your position is 7 leader, your position is the total volume of human life on your planet, and that's what you're responsible for. That might seem like a lot when you step outside of the solar system and you recognize that maybe you're responsible for even more species. It's a little bit easier to be comfortable with that decision. So actions speak louder than words. Your behaviors and your visualization, specifically with gaming, television, movies, anything that you're going to visualize is a projection as well, because you're guiding. You're the essential balance, and I'm going to call it, you're the balance medium for the whole global energy system. So that refinement, maybe it's easy for you. Turn off the video games, turn off the television, turn off the movies until you're the one creating them so that they're specifically safe. So that's another word of caution, because again, you'll go through heart systems and you'll be like, wow, thank you, Jesse, for telling me to turn off the TV, because it saved me a lot of energy. I'm just going to call it energy. So that being said, let's talk a little bit more about the Anahata chakra itself. Visualizations is one component. You as a 7 leader are going to be an energy manager for planetary bodies. So we're going to say, look, your name is, and we love you, and now we're going to use your physical human vessel or body or whatever species you are to channel specific energies of planetary bodies efficiently so that we can quickly evolve our species. So Anahata is 4D, it's Mars, and I'm not sure what, again, the platform of the universe has changed so quickly. Go look at whatever your closest association for Mars is. That'll probably be about the equivalent of the health of Anahata for your whole globe as a total. So think about that. Is it fully vegetarian? Is it thriving with life? Is it green? You really need to start painting that picture for it, because that's what's your benchmark, your hedge. How you move up your species energetically has to be reassociating those planetary bodies as in their direct correspondence. So that's a part of it. The Anahata itself is really sensitive, and if we look at gravitational fields just from the Earth itself, and we look at the whole human body's population itself, we're naturally going to find we start at planet 3. That's C, planet C. Okay, Earth. I'm going to say a general observation is that unless you're eating daily green and purple vegetables, your chakra systems themselves are going to be maybe activated, most likely on the planet Earth, though, because of nutrition. It's going to be dormant. So it's going to be 3, 2, and 1. They're going to exist in the states of the Earth and root. So it's really great for a couple things. Those are high power energies, and those are really powerful chakras. They're going to be ranging in root, which is the Earth connection. You're really grounded and taking a lot of Earth energy. And it's going to be Venus, and it's going to be reproduction. It's going to be high sexuality. It's going to be very fluid, and it's going to be fast reproduction. And then you're going to have Earth. And Earth comes in a little bit unique because in its state, we live on it, for one. In the state of Earth as a chakra system, the solar plexus chakra energy system, the C, it functions a lot in reciprocation. And I'll talk more about this in other videos. Reciprocation is a really key component to leadership strategies for energy bodies, because when Okay, let me give you an example. When an energy wave comes at you, it's going to affect in a couple different ways. Global influences. Let's conceptualize how that functions. Really, go through 100 years of history and put energy visualizations on historical events related specifically to whole planetary bodies, and you quickly start to build a picture of how we're being indirectly or directly influenced by planets in reciprocation. So, and for those who are, reciprocation is a process frequently returned. In the energy science, though, it's going to be direct, cause and effect, more or less, depending on how much balance you have. So we look at the Earth system itself, and we see a lot of synergy. It reflects itself. At the same time, you have that clear distinction. We're not at, or maybe your planet is, at Mars yet, or Jupiter, or Saturn, or Uranus, in the sense that maybe the spaceships are flying past on a daily basis. Again, maybe on your planet that's already the case. So energy refinement, again, it comes in a lot of different waves, and it influences in many different aspects. A little bit of knowledge from the Book of Stones itself. You'll need to pick up a couple specific stones. The best part is actually the reference. Again, when you're looking for psychic evolution, go to the people who spent the most time meditating on your planet. If that's not the people from Heaven and Earth Jewelry, and I'm sure there's other wonderful meditators globally around the globe that you can learn from, kings and queens, or even local deities, or just gurus that can talk about this type of knowledge. Use those for stone knowledge specifically, but consciousness is going to be playing a huge role. So being able to introduce specific stones will play a large part of your perception of consciousness, and how you're going to further evolve your specific energy centers. So a great stone that showed up in my universe, specifically at the University of Washington here, I found it for whatever reason in a small gift shop by the pound, and I was like, that's curious. What's that about? It's called clear apophyllite, and so pick up a piece of that. It has a connection to multi-dimensional consciousness, specifically. So when you're using your astral body, it's the equivalent of being able to keep your third eye open constantly. So you're like, okay, my astral body's here while my physical body's here. So one thing that I actually had I guess I still have a real concern about traditional modern education through business education, specifically the Harvard Business School or Stanford Business School or any business school, Princeton and so on, is the process itself of decision making, and the terminology is related to execution. So that's a terrible word, and just conceptualize from a leadership perspective, it's evolution through time. Yes, you might be executing business strategy management to make productive gains in your corporation. On an energetic level, though, it's a double end. So it really costs a lot. There's better ways to manage energy, and as a global 7 leader, that's part of the thinking that you need to navigate to reorganize how your planet may have already evolved. And I noticed it specifically in English, and you could probably recognize the same things in every other language globally, is that they evolve, again, through energy systems, and they're organized to keep you, well, grounded, and they're productive in that sense. So energetically, you can go through, when you start 7 leadership balancing constructively, you'll really start to pick up on these things, that you can change maybe small parts of your mannerisms, the way that you speak, but general organizations and business structures on the planet as a whole. So I really encourage you to make that step and choice, because it's going to help speed up the evolutionary process for your planet. Let's talk about the true power of the 7 leader itself. And there's a lot of different modalities for chakra leadership itself, and you could pick and just specifically focusing on the 7 colors. You could pick any of them. And I'll show and talk about it probably in another video, a little bit more of the chakra mechanics and the systems of how you can communicate a little more functionally with them for organizational purposes, like a chakra alphabet and color combinations that help efficiently manage energy. And the Earth has a way to kind of place all these really simply together for you automatically. Being able to pick up on that level of color perception does require a lot of sensory exposure to those. So start looking at colors and start looking at where they're placed and how they're placed. So let's talk about 7 leadership through the history. It's tough to talk about, but let's talk about it because we're here in 2020 or 2021. Today is actually the day after Independence Day in 2021. So let's talk about leadership through time, specifically through color systems and chakra energy systems. You really need to start picking up on the color purple, where it's placed, who's using it, and the types of food they're eating, because that's going to essentially be definition of the balance position itself. Anytime that and it can be, again, high gravitational or really low gravitational states. So just because you have a purple 7 doesn't necessarily guarantee a directional evolution. It can be literally the opposite direction. If the medium or body vessel that is using that color is of, depending on the types of food they're eating, the direction of their logic state and how they're going to drive energy for evolution. Start looking at this. So really important color combination, just absolutely fundamental to the entire class series, is going to be 47. And that's your Anahata with the Sahasrara. Again, it's the green purple. And it's going to be the highest balance position available for the Anahata system. So it can be 74, 47, 747, and it's going to activate exactly like that. Those are going to be and really put together the idea that the heart itself is like a container field. If you give it more balance, it has more room to energize, to grow, to be sensitive, to be happy. And when we find that state itself, that's when you have evolution happening, because the beautiful thing about happiness is it really permeates all parts of the human experience, and that's something that we protect, we nurture, we take care of. So 47 is definitive to it. The 7 leader position is to take the 4th chakra and raise it to the highest, balance it to the highest possible 7th chakra energetically. So that seems like a big task now. If you look at it, I've got maybe 8 billion people, that's 8 billion chakras, and I'm looking to evolve 8 billion chakra energy systems globally on my planet, or maybe your planet has more people or less people, safely. It's a synergy. It's going to be a combination of your visualization exercises, learning the psychic energy systems, integrating crystal equipment so that you can functionally activate it in yourself and other people as well. Just absolutely important one, I think, is pretty obvious. Sobriety, just make that part of your process. And the vegetarian food. So you're going to really focus as a 7 leader, depending on the season of the year, your food consumption. Green vegetables and the purple cabbage, because that's evolutionary fuel source. It's the equivalent of the electric vehicle for the, well, I'm going to imagine this one is electric as well. So it's really more than that though. So it's like saying if I just was going to quantize and encapsulate the total productive value of the planet Mars in the solar system, the planet 7 Uranus in the solar system, and say, I'm going to just utilize those extra energies today on planet Earth. That's how powerful eating those foods is.